Welcome, this is Sandra again. I am back for the final video in our Math Vendor Week. And I'm here, a couple things before I get started here. I'm releasing a secret number in each video I've done, so I've done 3 other videos. I'll leave a link for where you can catch all of those videos. If you watch everything I've said this week and send me a message with the sum of all the secret numbers that I've released, I'll send you a $10 gift card to my TPT store. Second thing is, I will be providing a PDF for the game that I'll be talking about today. It will be in my store and it will be my entire course for developing number sense. But if you want it, just let me know and I will send a PDF for this entire game to you as well. Okay, so we've been talking a lot this week. I've been focusing on the mathemagic of subitizing. Let me tell you, in case you missed previous videos, briefly what I mean. Okay, my 2 big things, if you're only going to do 2 things with math, get a 10 frame and an abacus. An abacus can also be a Rec and Rec. This one is from Right Start. Some of you have seen it. There's variations on all of these, but with these tools, which you can easily make DIY versions of, the most important thing about it is that you are able to instantly see numbers. So with a 10 frame, the idea is that you have 5 on top and 5 on bottom. So if you're talking about the number 8, for example, you can see, you work with 10 frames to play with it, kids can see 8 is 5 and 3 more. So you build out a really solid sense with 10 frames of the numbers 1 through 10. Then you can move on to the abacus or Rec and Rec. Something, if you have an abacus like this that has the pretty colors, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you'll want to draw a line through 5 of them so that you can get the same magic of never counting. Okay, you can do all of math with no counting. That's where I really want kids to get. And even I tell them when I'm teaching my classes, you want to get to the point where you're not even actually doing math. The numbers just have to say their name. So here's an example. Okay, again, I'm looking at the number 8. So if you're doing the same thing that we do with 10 frames on an abacus, you know that there's 5 and 3 more. And it's differentiated because these don't have lines on them and these do. If you're doing it with one of these, it's much easier to see. Okay, the big thing I want to talk about today is how far can you stretch this mathemagic? So we've talked about building a firm foundation in number sense with a 10 frame, with 10 frames in the abacus, carrying it into addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But I want to show you that this concept carries up and becomes mathemagic for all of numbers, for everything you'll ever need to do with numbers. And I'm going to do a variation on place value and show you how you can do something different than the traditional 10 blocks to get across a concept that's super fundamental to math. So I introduced this video, I think place value is possibly the most important concept in math. And we're going to talk about how to introduce the concept of place value using 10 frames. So the same thing that we do with our 10 frames when we build out the concepts of 8 would be 5 and 3 more. So here we have a 10 frame with 8 is 5 and 3 more. Here we're 80 as 8 and 3 more, and they're 10s. So this alone, this activity right here, builds out most of what kids need to know to develop number sense. Because if they truly see and get a good concept, a good grasp on 8 being 5 and 3 more, and then they can see once you fill up a 10 frame, we're going to transfer that, a full 10 frame, and if you have 10 of these, they'll be 10, 20, 30. You get to the point where you have 100. You take 100 of those, put it in one of the 10 frames, and then you can see 10 of those is 1,000, and it goes on and on. So this in itself is the place value part of it, where kids can really, really conceptually see how every time you fill up a 10 frame, you get to move it up, and that becomes the single space in your next 10 frame. So then you can see at a glance without counting that this is 80. And if we were to look at this set right here, they can see I've kind of set this up ahead of time for you. And remember, I'm providing the PDF for this activity. All you have to do is ask for it. And it will be in my store and in my complete course later. But the first thing before we even introduce the game to this is getting familiar with the concept of the 10 frames and how 8 is very similar to 80, is very similar to 800, to 8,000. All of that they can see at a glance with no counting. And they really intuitively get the sense that this number, for example, is 788. They can see that that is 7 hundreds. You have 7 because 7 is glanceable, and each one of these is 100. So 700 literally means 7 of these hundreds. Okay, then 8 tens. The more they play with it, the more they'll get really comfortable with seeing that it's 8 tens is 80. That in itself takes some practice. Okay, the teenager practice, because for example, the number 12 doesn't sound like a 10 and a 2, but when you get used to it, you see 12 is 10 and 2. You can decompose that into the different place value parts. It gives you the ability to understand and work with those numbers. Okay, so the same thing here. 8 tens is not intuitively the same as 80, but when you give them and they play around with this, they'll be able to get that understanding that you count up by tens and you fill it out. Okay, and then they can see this number. They'll see that it's 788. So they're building a lot of really solid math, and you can extend it as far as you want just with the setup for this game alone. But I want to talk to you and not make this video too terribly long about how this game works. So I've created this as a game that's some kind of generic ball game where we have boards and balls. And I'm actually going to be changing out the graphics on these before I send it to you guys. So that will make the analogy go a little bit farther. So we have courts 1, 2, 3, 4, and court 1 is for the ones, 2 is for the tens, etc. What we're doing is we're playing ball. Okay, so we start out, and all of the directions are going to be included. But you'll start out with a number, and I have number slips, so you can just easily do math. It won't look like a worksheet, but you're doing pretty intense math here. So, for example, I've set these number strips to 6, 8, and then the first step is kids will lay out the correct amount of cards and read out what the number is, so they'll get a good sense for that. Then you'll go through, you'll change the number strips. So I'm going to change it down. I'll show you how this works. Change it to 3, change it to 4, change this to 3 so that I can do it quickly. Okay. It's time to play ball. So we're going to count out 3 balls here and put them in our basket. So those will be ready to play. Then we're going to come here and count out 4 balls. And while you're doing it, you can talk about 4 tens. How many is that? They'll see that it's literally 4 tens, and that's 40. So it just really reinforces what they're doing. And then over here, 3 hundreds. So I don't know if you can see that, but we have 3 hundreds, and each one of these hundreds has 10 tens in it. I know it's tiny, but that way they're all the same size. Okay, and we're keeping it within 100 with an overflow court so that kids will get the idea with the hands-on and it doesn't become insanely complicated with all the little pieces. So you build out this idea and then they can take it to paper once they get really good at it. Okay, and I want to insert that this very same idea is often done with the ones blocks, the tens blocks, and the hundreds blocks, and the thousands cube. What I find missing in that is that it's not instantly glanceable. So you lose the subitizing magic when you have a block of 10 pieces. Okay, you may memorize the fact that a block of 10 pieces is a 10, but what if you have 8 of those? You still have to count to see that there's 8 of them. If you have 8 tens in a 10 frame, there's no counting. You magically see that this is 80. Okay, we're removing counting from math. That is the magic of this tens with groups of 5s. However you use it, whether it's a 10 frame, an abacus, a rec and rec, something like this, you give kids the best foundation in understanding what math is and how it works. and it can be free. It's very cheap, if not free, to do all of this. Okay, you can just draw your 10 frames and do the magic. But let's play ball. Okay, so they get to this point, they've put all their balls in their basket, and then we're ready to play. So you come here, you start in court number 1, and you play these balls. So we're going to play that ball, and then, this is the magic if you can follow this, the court is full. So we send in the ball boy or the ball girl, ball child, and they clear the court, okay? So they've cleared that 10. They have 10 balls in play. Now they're going to exchange it for 10. So they can see 10 balls is literally 10. And they add that to the tens court. Okay, come back. We have one more ball to play. All right, we finished that round. Now move on to court number 2. We have 4 balls to play. We play 1 ball and then the court is full. So you clear the floor and then you trade out. With my son, I say you earned your 100 badge. Okay, you clear the floor and you earn a 100s badge. Kind of mixing analogies there, so I have to work on it. But there we have the 100s there. And then we finish this game. So we have 3 left over here. Okay, we're done with court number 2. Moving on to court 3. We have 3 of these that I didn't count correctly. 3 of these. And you can see if you put 2 down, you have to clear the court. Then you have 1 left to play. But we cleared the court, so we have 10 hundreds that we're trading in for 10 hundreds. Okay, think about this for a minute. At what point in your life, think back as an adult, did you ever realize that 10 hundreds were 1,000? Okay, I was talking with another parent. I honestly don't know if that ever clicked for me until I was an adult, that 10 hundreds and 1,000 were the same. And it wasn't just a random coincidence. 1,000, if you write 10 with 2 zeros after it, and that's because you have 10 hundreds. So anyways, kids may not even realize how amazing this is. They have these connections when they're building it. But we can see that we're giving them a good foundation in understanding math and just having a solid foundation that they can build on for future. So 10 hundreds is 1,000. They've earned that badge. All right, then the game is over, so you count your score. We're not counting these numbers. We're counting what's in the 10 frames. So this is where the subitizing magic comes in again. You can instantly see that we have 1,000, 100, 3 tens. You have to work on that phrasing so you know that that's 30, and 1. So we have 1,131. And then they put that on their score sheet, which I'll have included in the packet. And they can either keep going, keep adding 3-digit numbers until they fill up their overflow court, or you can scale it back and just do 2 at a time, or you can just start. There's a lot of variations of this. You can just start with the 1s court and use your overflow court for when you fill it up. Move on to 2-digit numbers, onto 3-digit numbers. Then once they get a really good feel for how to do this hands-on, then take that to paper, and they can see as they're carrying numbers, once they get a 10, they'll see why they're moving a 1 up to the tens place, because they have 1 10. Okay, the no one is, if you take kids to paper before they have hands-on tactile experience, all they see are digits. So they don't really have this intuitive sense that 343 means 343, and that is 300s, which each of the hundreds is made up of 10 tens. Each of the 4 in the 40 is made up of, well, it would be 4 tens, etc. So we're giving our kids a super good foundation. They're going to be awesome at math. They're going to have fun with it. I know my son gets super excited when I bring this out because he gets to play ball with math, and he's earning his badges and clearing the floor and doing all kinds of fun things. And it's a really good way to get a hands-on visual with understanding place value, which is really the basis for all of math, because they have to see our whole number system is built on base 10, and it builds out from there. So if they understand this, they can do any version of adding, subtracting. I'll do in a whole separate video. Multiplication, division, rounding, estimating. You can easily change this up and say this is 1s and this is 10ths, so you can do decimals with it. You can do anything. Guys, this is free. You just draw your 2x5s, and it's amazing, and it is, in my opinion, better than where you stack 10 in a row, have those 10 sticks, because you can instantly see all of it. So I'm going to check if I have questions, but my screen went blank. So give me just a second here. If you have questions, you can drop them whether you're watching it live or coming back and catching the replay. If you're here catching the replay, let me know. Also, let me know if you want this. And the number, the secret number, is, what haven't I done yet, is 5 for this video. So if you're watching all my videos, you can add up all the secret numbers I've given you. Send that to me in a message and I will send you a $10 gift card for my TPT store. Okay, so let me check if I have videos on this. One second here while you guys think of your questions. Are there comments popping up? Okay, I'll come back and answer questions throughout the day. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back. Well, you can actually, I won't be back in this group for a while, but you can follow me, find me on Raising Math Superstars for a lot more of this, more conversations about math. All right, thank you.